Hey, welcome back, guys. Formula Relapse here. Juan and I, sorry we missed the first race. We watched it, great race. We weren't able to speak on it. We were both very busy in our personal lives, but we are excited to be back for the second race of the season, Saudi Arabia. It is going to be a blast. I mean, a real bomb is going to be dropped on the track this weekend.
From the looks of it, it might happen because just 7 miles away, a terrorist organization, who I don't know which one, but attacked one of the oil refineries. It's just 7 miles away from the track during FP1, and they actually delayed FP2 because of it. So we race as one, no to war. I wonder how that's going to handle for this weekend because there's clearly some action going on not too far away from the track.
Yeah, well, they'll pay good money to be there, so they're going to race there, and
I think so.
Eh, we'll talk more about that later. But anyways, let's get into the racing. Free practice one, free practice two highlights came in just a little bit ago. Very exciting race. They're looking pretty quick out there, even in the 2022 cars with less downforce on these street tracks. A lot of people burning that turn. I can't remember which one it was. The one where Verstappen hit the wall during the
Very
race.
last one.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
widened that a little bit, but it's still pretty tricky to get that turn in. Less downforce, less braking power, so everybody's getting adjusted to it. It's going to be crazy to see them 20 wide going through those turns because I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of chaos like it was last year.
This race last year was it gave me so much anxiety because of how narrow the track is, and just because of and that race start, the first like what 2 laps, everyone's going to be right next to each other. So I'm definitely a little terrified for it, like I was last year.
Yeah, I'm predicting now red flags even during qualifying. I mean, this is the fastest, extremely narrow street track they have, and it's relatively dangerous. I thought they were going to widen the track a little more. They only did it in a few parts, and I mean, it's pretty nerve-wracking. It's a fast track, and these new cars, people are still getting used to it, so
Hmm.
you're going to see. And I'm sure Verstappen and Perez after last week, they're going to want to get points in, so they might be a little riskier. We'll have to see second race of the season. I hope nobody blows up.
I feel bad for the rookie because this track is so hard, and this is their second time racing in these cars, so I feel pretty bad for him.
I think he can handle it. If Bottas is a great teammate, I think, and he's a good driver, and I'm excited to see it. But let's go into the race, well, qualifying predictions. We'll do race predictions tomorrow, but qualifying predictions, I'd like to talk about Mercedes for a little bit. They've kind of been off their pace, you could say. They kind of, they've kind of fallen into this 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of area, and they wouldn't have even podium if it wasn't for the huge Honda engine mistakes.
Yeah,
But
during the
how do
last race.
how do you think they're gonna stack up tomorrow?
Well, looking at FP1, FP2, I think that's never been a judge marker, right, for how they're going to do it during qualifying. But if you look at it, they're not even in the top of the field. I think Lewis during FP2 got up to fifth, but he's still behind the Red Bull. He's still behind the Mercedes. And I think with Mercedes being behind Red Bull and Ferrari, I just don't see room for him qualifying higher than fifth. I think unless maybe one of those top players makes a mistake, so Paris, Sainz, Leclerc, and Max. I think if one of those make a mistake, he'll be up in the top four. But if that's not going to be the case, he's going to be the fifth best.
Yeah, I could see Hamilton, Russell 5, 6, nothing crazy unless Norris, Bottas, Sonoda maybe comes in and sneaks in between them. But other than that, unless Hamilton gets a crazy lap in Q3, he's going to be behind the essentially the title fighters as it is right now.
Yeah,
Ferrari, I mean, man, they are
they
dominant
are
already.
dominant
I
right
mean,
now. Yeah,
and you can tell. Even Signs, I mean, they're putting in clean laps. They're really good drivers. They're not making big mistakes. The Ferrari engines look crazy fast this year,
yeah,
and whatever they've done to these cars specifically, they're doing a great job. And
for
a
sure.
lot of other teams are playing catch up right now. So if
I,
we're
I
talking about my prediction, I think they're going to be 1-2.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
exactly what I
Verstappen,
was gonna say.
I think Verstappen's going to struggle, and Sainz, I mean, he's point 2.5 seconds off the pace right now. You know, it's all going to come down to Q3, but I think Sainz last week really wanted to be ahead of Verstappen, and he was just always just that little bit too far out to catch up. And unless Honda's fix their engine problems, it's gonna be brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a toss up on that maybe Max can sneak into second just like he did in the last race for qualifying, but yeah, that Ferrari engine just looks way too fast. And the good thing is Perez looks comfortable in that Red Bull, so I think we'll see them up there in the top 4 as well. And Hamilton might snip that from him as well, but definitely going to be a top 5 of those guys because no one else is faster.
Oh yeah. Well, what do you think about Bottas? He's coming in. He's doing some solid. He
Dude,
feels like he's under the radar, but he's putting in some solid laps.
he is putting in work. He during the last race, classic Bottas moment, qualified really well, lost all the positions at the start, and then he regained them. I have a feeling something similar might happen. He's going to qualify really well, but he might get overtaken in a few spots at the start.
This is a tough track to overtake in the beginning.
Yeah,
So
I
I
would say
think
that
whatever
you've got to
he's gonna
squeeze
sit
in.
in,
Yeah,
whatever he's gonna sit in, he can hold it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so because I saw an interview today where they were talking to Bottas about, where do you think you're going to be? And he's like, well, Ferrari and Red Bull are just way too ahead. He's like, but I wouldn't mind fighting Mercedes, for their position. So that tells you how confident Alfa Romeo is in their car.
Yeah.
The fact that they're saying, well, we might fight Ferrari or I guess Mercedes for some of those 5th, 6th, 7th places.
That would be awesome. I know there's so many races going on this season. I know at some point Bottas and Hamilton are going to be side by side,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to be losing my mind watching that.
No more team orders, right? Get out the way.
Yeah. I mean, so far with these, at least with the first one, it was a super clean race for the most part. Nobody was going wild and cutting in while braking and
Mm-hmm.
just making dumb moves. I mean, besides who got hit in the beginning, Schumacher got popped, but that was pretty clear-cut mistake, and accidents happen.
Where do you see the Haas at? I know they had a great last race, but it looks like they might be struggling a little bit with high-speed circuits, so this might be one of their weaker points.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about Schumacher, I don't know. He's probably going to be sitting
Q2 at
back
least.
of midfield. At least
Yeah.
Q2, I could see it easily. Magnussen, on the other hand, had some hydraulic issues today, and they've been struggling getting the car out on the track. He only did 13 laps out of 2 free
Sessions,
practices.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
that's tough.
And
So
he didn't drive
really
last year, so he doesn't know the circuit at all.
And I mean, Magnussen, for one, historically loves street circuits. He's a really good street circuit driver. This is a different beast, though.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to like hunker down free practice to get that car out on the track and really push those numbers. Because you need a lot of experience and time on this track to know exactly where the braking zone is and how much speed you need to carry through it. Because if you go a little too slow on some of those turns, your lap is over. You have to carry absolutely as much speed as you can through these winding turns and curves in order to make good lap times.
Yeah, and I think with these teams having new cars and then they're barely getting adjusted to it, and now they're going to this track that's just kind of balls to the wall. I think you can lump Alpine, McLaren, AlphaTauri, and Aston Martin for qualifying probably in similar areas. Maybe McLaren is going to be a little on the back foot, but it looks like they've sorted out some of their downforce issues from the last race. So I hope to see McLaren at least scoring points consistently, maybe like a 7, 8, 9 deal. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see. Those are the teams I'm going to be looking at because I think the front's pretty straightforward. These, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, they're going to be in the front. And so it'll be interesting to see the midfield battles to see who sneaks into Q2, who sneaks into Q3.
Yeah, the midfield this year is fantastic. And I mean, even in the top, like FIA wanted to make these races more competitive, and it's shown at least through one race so far that the times are very close, and with the right pit stops and stuff like that, they can be very close.
Yeah.
Which makes for some good TV, makes for some good races, but teams need to work their things out. Yeah, like you said with McLaren, it's not looking good for Ricardo. I don't know if it's just his car or if he's just lacking the power and the necessity of like skill to keep up with these guys, and it is disappointing.
Yeah.
Because I love Ricardo and Norris, and I think they're cool teammates and they're fun drivers to watch, but it was just so disappointing that I unless something really changes this race, they're going to be in the back of my mind this season.
Yeah, I think so too. Williams, really sad to see they've made no progress from last year. They're still a backmarker team, even with a great driver like Alex Albon. Latifi being very comfortable in that seat, but oh well, backmarker team.
You said great driver.
He's a good driver. I think he is.
Yeah, he's proven himself, huh?
Yeah, I guess other than that, maybe I think we might see a surprise from Aston Martin, getting up a little bit further up in Q2. If they both get out Q1, that's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. With Hulkenberg driving again, maybe he's gotten a little more comfortable because last race he just looked awkward out there.
Yeah, he
And
definitely
this is a
did.
pretty tough track to kind of just jump in and be like, okay, I'm ready to race like full pace.
They were asking him questions during FP2, and he's like, I don't know. They were asking him, how's the aero balance? And he's like, I don't know. I'm busy driving. He's stressed out. He's so stressed out. So hopefully we get a good qualifying session, and hopefully, I think qualifying needs to have a little more weight in terms of the spectacle, not just Q2, but Q1 and not just Q3, but Q1 and Q2 also need to have a good spectacle as well. And with the
Yeah.
midfield team, I think that's going to be very possible.
Yeah, the times are pretty close, and I think, they're typically a second or faster, like compared to practice time. So you're
Yeah.
going to see some quick laps come in.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't doubt we're gonna reach into the times from last year.
Hmm, we'll see.
Awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for our predictions. We'll see you here during the post qualifying to see how wrong we were.